There are weapons that kill, and then there are weapons that unmake reality itself. In the echoing chambers of eternity, where gods walk among mortals and the fabric between worlds grows thin, the ancient texts speak of instruments so devastating, so impossibly powerful, that their very names were whispered as prayers and curses alike. These were not mere swords or arrows. These were fragments of cosmic will, forged in the heart of dying stars, blessed by the architects of existence, and wielded by those who dared to challenge fate itself. Tonight we descend into the armory of the divine. We will walk through halls where weapons don't rust and legends don't fade. We will rank the most powerful instruments of destruction ever conceived in Hindu mythology, from the earth-shattering to the universe-ending. But be warned, traveler. Some of these weapons were never meant to be spoken of. Some were locked away in the deepest vaults of heaven for a reason. And some, as you will discover, are still out there, waiting to be claimed by those foolish enough or desperate enough to seek them. Let us begin with the weapon that could pierce anything, yet belonged to the god who needed it least. Picture this: a weapon with 3 prongs, each representing a fundamental force of existence: creation, preservation, and destruction. The Trishula, wielded by Lord Shiva himself, was not merely a physical object, but a philosophical statement carved in divine metal. When Shiva raised this trident, he wasn't just threatening an enemy, he was asserting dominion over the very cycle of existence. The ancient scriptures tell us that the Trishula could destroy anything in the 3 worlds: heaven, earth, and the netherworld. No shield could deflect it. No blessing could neutralize it. When hurled with intent, it would chase its target across dimensions, through time itself, if necessary, until its purpose was fulfilled. The demon Andaka learned this the hard way when he dared to lust after Parvati, Shiva's consort. The Trishula didn't just kill him. It pinned him to the cosmic canvas of reality until every drop of his corrupted blood had burned away in the fire of divine judgment. But here's what makes the Trishula truly terrifying. It wasn't designed for war. It was designed for balance. Shiva, the ascetic god who owns nothing and desires less, carries the one weapon that could end everything. The irony is as sharp as the prongs themselves. In his hands, the Trishula represents restraint, the ultimate power held by the ultimate renunciant. A reminder that true strength lies not in the weapon, but in knowing when not to use it. Yet even this magnificent instrument of divine will pales in comparison to what comes next. Imagine standing on a battlefield where the very sky has turned against you. Dark clouds gather, not from nature's whim, but from the rage of Indra, king of the gods. In his hand, he grips something that looks like a club, a mace, a bolt of frozen lightning, the Vajra. And when he hurls it, mountains don't just crumble, they cease to exist. The Vajra was born from sacrifice. The great sage Dadhichi, knowing that the gods needed a weapon powerful enough to defeat the unstoppable demon Vritra, made a choice that echoes through eternity. He surrendered his own skeleton. Yes, you heard that right. The bones of an enlightened sage, infused with years of meditation and spiritual power, were forged by Vishwakarma, the divine architect, into the Vajra. This wasn't just metalwork. This was alchemy of the highest order, transforming human divinity into destructive potential. When Indra finally faced Vritra, the demon who had swallowed all the waters of the world and plunged existence into drought, he raised the Vajra high. The texts describe what happened next in language that makes modern warfare look like children playing with stick. The thunderbolt struck with such force that it tore through Vritra's scaled hide, shattered his bones, and released the captive waters in a flood that reshaped the world. The demon didn't just die. he was erased, his essence scattered across the cosmos like ash in a hurricane. But the Vajra's true power wasn't in destruction. It was in transformation. Like a lightning strike that both destroys and fertilizes, the Vajra represented the violent change necessary for renewal. In Buddhist tradition, it became a symbol of indestructible spiritual power. In Hindu cosmology, it remained the ultimate weapon of the storm god, the instrument through which chaos becomes order. Still, for all its earth-shaking might, the Vajra had limitations. It required a wielder powerful enough to channel its force. It could be dodged by those fast, the weapon that ends bloodlines. Now we enter truly forbidden territory. We speak of the Brahmastra, a weapon so catastrophic that even its invocation was considered a cosmic crime, unless the circumstances were impossibly dire. This wasn't a physical object you could hold. It was a manifestation of Brahma's creative power inverted. A spell, an incantation, a divine missile that once released could not be recalled. The Mahabharata tells us that only a select few could summon the Brahmastra. Arjuna had it. So did Ashwathama, Karna, and Drona. Each learned the sacred mantra from their teachers, along with strict instructions. Use it only when your entire civilization hangs in the balance. Never use it against a lesser foe. Never use it in anger. And most importantly, never, ever use it carelessly. Because the Brahmastra didn't just kill its target. It killed their children, their children's children. It scorched the earth for generations. It poisoned the water and turned fertile land into cursed wasteland, where nothing would grow for 1,000 years. Ancient descriptions speak of effects eerily similar to nuclear devastation. Hair falling out, nails crumbling, unborn children twisted in the womb, and a lingering poison that corrupted everything it touched. The most chilling moment in the Mahabharata comes at its end, when Ashwatthama, in grief-maddened rage over his father's death, launches a Brahmastra at the wombs of the Pandava women, attempting to end their bloodline before it could continue. Only Krishna's intervention prevents total genocide, but even the god's power can't completely nullify the weapon. The child who survives, Parikshit, is born dead, only to be revived by Krishna's grace. The message is clear. Once invoked, the Brahmastra's consequences ripple through time itself. What elevated the Brahmastra to nightmare status wasn't just its destructive capability. It was the knowledge problem. Too many warriors knew the mantra. Too many egos, too many moments of rage or desperation. The weapon existed in a state of perpetual almost use, like a loaded gun in a room full of angry people. The Mahabharata war could have ended in mutual annihilation. It nearly did, multiple times, when opposing Brahmastras were launched simultaneously, only to be withdrawn at the last possible second by warriors who remembered their training. But even the Brahmastra, world-ending as it was, had a superior. There are weapons of war, and then there are weapons of extinction. The Pashupatastra belongs to the latter category. Bestowed by Shiva himself, this weapon couldn't be acquired through study or inheritance. You had to earn it through penance so severe that most who attempted it died in the process. And those who succeeded found themselves holding something that shouldn't exist, a fragment of Shiva's destructive aspect compressed into weapon form. Arjuna, perhaps the greatest archer who ever lived, sought this weapon from Shiva. The god appeared to him disguised as a hunter, and they fought, not over territory or honor, but as a test. When Arjuna proved his worth, Shiva revealed himself and granted the Pashupatastra, along with a warning that would haunt Arjuna for the rest of his days. Never use this weapon against a lesser enemy. Fear it will not merely kill them, It will unmake everything around them. The texts describe the Pashupatastra as a rain of fire that consumes entire armies, evaporates lakes, and leaves behind nothing but silence, not even ash, just emptiness. It targets not the body, but the essence, burning away the karmic thread that tethers a soul to existence. Those killed by it don't merely die. They are removed from the cycle of rebirth, cast into a void where no heaven or hell can reach them. Arjuna, for all his skill and all the impossible battles he fought, never used it, not once, not when surrounded by impossible odds, not when his brothers lay dying, not even in the final battle of Kurukshetra, where millions fell. He carried the Pashupatastra like a sin he hadn't yet committed, terrified that the moment he invoked it would be the moment he crossed a line from which no warrior, no matter how righteous, could return. Yet even this apocalyptic instrument, this fragment of Shiva's infinite destructive capacity, was designed with limitations. It required a pure heart. It demanded complete control. It could be resisted by those with sufficient spiritual power. The weapon we're about to discuss has no such weaknesses. This is where the rules of engagement break down completely. When Ashwathama invoked the Narayanastra, the sky itself gave birth to millions of divine missiles, each one seeking an enemy with perfect precision. The Pandava army, the greatest collection of warriors ever assembled, watched in horror as these impossible projectiles materialized from nothing, each one locked onto a target. They fought back, and that was their mistake. The Narayanastra grows stronger with resistance. Every arrow fired at it multiplied it. Every shield raised against it empowered it. Every act of defiance, every heroic stand, every attempt at defense became fuel for its expansion. Warriors who stood their ground were shredded by an exponentially increasing barrage. Heroes who charged forward created cascading waves of destruction that consumed their own allies. Krishna, who understood the weapon's true nature, screamed the only solution over the chaos. Lay down your weapons, drop to the ground, show complete submission. And the army, trained from birth to fight, had to do the one thing that violated every instinct, every lesson, every warrior code they'd ever learned. They had to give up. They had to kneel. They had to accept utter vulnerability in the face of annihilation. Those who listened survived. Those who hesitated, who clung to pride or courage or honor for even a moment too long, were erased. The Narayanastra teaches a lesson more profound than any other weapon on this list. Sometimes, the only way to defeat power is to refuse to play its game. Sometimes, survival requires the hardest act of all, ego death. But the Narayanastra had a catch. It could only be used once per battle. After that single invocation, its power was spent. A devastating limitation that Ashwathama learned too late, and one that prevented it from being the most powerful weapon in existence. That distinction belongs to something else. We arrive now at perfection incarnate. The Sudarshana Chakra, the spinning disc of Lord Vishnu, represents the ultimate evolution of divine weaponry. A tool so sophisticated, so impossibly advanced, that it transcends every limitation we've discussed. It never misses. It cannot be stopped. It sees through every illusion, penetrates but the true terror or wonder, depending on your perspective, of the Sudarshana Chakra lies in its autonomy. Vishnu doesn't aim it. He releases it with intent, and the weapon itself determines how to fulfill that purpose. When the demon king Jarasandha held thousands of kings captive, Krishna sent the chakra, not to kill, but to liberate. And the disc cut through the prison walls with such precision that not a single captive was harmed. When Shishupala, corrupted by rage and arrogance, hurled insults at Krishna during a sacred ceremony, the chakra ended his life mid-sentence. a divine interruption that shocked every witness into silence. The most haunting account involves Vrinda, the devoted wife of the demon Jalandhara, whose chastity created an impenetrable shield around her husband. Vishnu, taking the form of Jalandhara, broke that chastity through deception. And when the truth was revealed, Vrinda's curse transformed the god into the Shalagram stone. The arsenal of the gods remains incomplete. The rankings we've established tonight are based only on what has been revealed. Somewhere, in the spaces between stories, in the silence after the final verse, other weapons wait. Other powers sleep. Other choices loom on the horizon of cosmic destiny. The question isn't which weapon is most powerful. The question is, what happens when the wrong person finds the right weapon? And who decides which is which? Because the gods may have created these instruments of power, but they never figured